coming into what's called Lincoln Highway, which is Prater Way to 4th Street. Over here to the right is Blue Ribbon Meat Company, which has been around for a long time. But coming up here is two bus stops that have history of the area. So they're just past the DQ here. You'll be able to see them on the right here as we go. You got one here, and you got one here. This one right here. And this one is at the 15th Street. It's the last of 5th Street. And that finishes it up for now. So this is on Prater and 15th. Take a little video of this one across the street. The one we previously saw with Deer Park, and this one's talking about Sparks Elementary and new junior high school. There it goes. Huh. Peaceful playground. This one is at 15th and Prater. It's talking about Deer Park and the swimming pool. So we will film this. And if you like the history, there's a thing called Connecting to the Past right there. It was just across the street. Now we're here at this one. Same place, 15th and Prater. Community Crossroads. We'll go back here and visit this one again. history still preserved here, although this company, Blue Ribbon Meat Company, is just down the street past the 7-Eleven. So, and then there's another connecting to the past and future. You can go to either one of these 3 links and get more information or look at the pictures. So we were just there at this one across the street, and then there's this one, and you can see the pictures are meant to be seen from both sides, from the back side also. So this is one of 4 stops on both east and westbound on 4th Street and Prater. We'll be going to the other 3 now. Final one at 15th Prater talks about people on the move, a story of rails and wheels. Before 1900, this street was a dusty country road extending east from the small town of Reno. Farmers and ranchers in wagons and buggies plodded past livestock and alfalfa fields. Trains chugged past on the Transcontinental Railroad and 2 other lines running north and south. On Thanksgiving Day of 1904, the state's first electric streetcars began operation along country road connecting Reno by rail to the new town of Sparks. The 3-mile ride cost a nickel and took 30 minutes. As automobiles became affordable, the road was widened and paved. Traffic increased as it became the route of the cross-country Lincoln and Victory highways and later U.S. Highway 40. In 1927, streetcar service ended and intercity bus service began. Private companies operated buses in Reno and Sparks until 1978, when the new Regional Transportation Commission introduced public-funded service. Its successor, the Regional Transportation Commission, added electric buses to its fleet in 2014. 15th and Prater. It's called A Tale of Two Streets, Prater Way and Victorian Avenue. Prater Way follows the original path of the Central Pacific Railroad. After the route was straightened and the tracks moved south, the flat surface left behind became a country road. In 1904, a small section was named for Nick and Celia Prater, who owned land east of Deer Park. Eventually, the entire road through Sparks was named Prater Way. Victorian Avenue was first named B Street and served as the main street of Sparks. It did not connect directly to Prater Way until the 1930s, when B Street was extended further west and became the route of US 40. The new intersection formed a Y and became a popular location for businesses of all kinds. Creamer's Auto Court was one of the area's first motels. It was renovated into Harold's Pony Express Lodge in the 1950s, when its massive neon sign became a local landmark. Popular drive-ins and restaurants nearby included Ray's, the Chuck Wagon, and the Frost Top. A little more history about 15th Street and Prater Way. It says community crossroads where the neighborhood meets. The intersection of 15th Street and Prater Way has been a cornerstone of community life for generations. The combination of nearby schools, stores, and family homes made this a natural gathering place from the beginning. The city's first school opened in 1906 just down the street where Robert H. Mitchell Elementary School stands today. Sparks High School has been in 2 locations on 15th Street, both within a few blocks. Local residents remember buying candy and school supplies at the Rock Cave Grocery, later called Wanda's. Teenagers met friends at the Dairy Queen and A.W. root beer stand, which became Scoopers. Shoppers browsed at Gepford's Used Furniture, the Park Grocery, and the Blue Ribbon Meat Company for years. A neon bellboy sign welcomed visitors to the Park Motel. The intersection gained its first traffic light in 1955. 2 years later, the Ideal Shopping Center opened a few blocks west, attracting additional customers to the area. And this information is in English and Spanish. And then an article from the Reno Evening Gazette, May 26, 1942, talking about the park. The pool says final plans for opening the new Sparks Municipal Swimming Pool in Deer Park were made last night at the regular meeting of Sparks City Council, and after considerable discussion, it was decided to allow youths up to 18 years of age to enter the pool without charge until 5 o'clock in the evening, after which the charge will be 15 cents. A little more information, an article in the paper. They don't say where it's from, but it just says it's a clipping. Deer Park to be made beautiful. Force of men with teams and scrapers put at work in Deer Park, and the work of beautifying that portion of the city will now go steadily on. The high ground is being leveled, and when the plans of the city council are completed, the Deer Park track will be one of the most beautiful parks of the city. That portion of the city has only recently been furnished with water mains and equipment for the fire department. And then two articles from the Reno Evening Gazette, doesn't say when, talks about the deer. Deer escape from park. One shot by hunter for wild game. Another escapes and cannot be located. 5 were recaptured. Some miscreant tore open the fence enclosing the Deer Park in the East Reno track last night and let the 7 deer out. They wandered off, and Captain Lugg, with a force of men, had a hard time to round them up. One of them was shot for a wild deer 3 miles east of Sparks. And then it talks about good deer hunting in Reno. There is still one of the young bucks from the East Reno Deer Park loose. He was seen this morning by Mr. Matley in Steinberg pasture across the river from the asylum. Hibbert and McPhail will give a reward of $5 to anyone who will capture and return him. He is tame and will come to anyone with a pan of grain. When a rope could be thrown over his head and easily captured. The close season prevents the shooting of deer at this time of the year. And then some information about 15th and 4th, talking about Deer Park's history. It's called Peaceful Playground, Rest and Recreation at Deer Park. Deer Park was created in 1902, known originally as Highland Park. It was the centerpiece of the new town track, a housing division planned for the new town of East Reno. The park gained its current name in 1903 when 6 tame deer were placed in a small zoo on the grounds. After East Reno officially became Sparks, the Deer Park neighborhood filled with families. Conveniently located near homes and schools, the park contained a playground, a tennis court, and plenty of room for baseball games, picnics, and concerts. When Prater Way was on the Lincoln Highway, the park offered a free campground where travelers could pitch tents and build campfires. In 1942, the city of Sparks opened the Deer Park Pool and began to offer swimming lessons. For generations, the park has hosted community events and celebrations, including Jack's Carnival, a longtime school fundraiser. It remains a lovely oasis in the heart of the city. Final one at 15th, Prater talks about People on the Move, a story of rails and wheels. Before 1900, this street was a dusty country road extending east from the small town of Reno. Farmers and ranchers in wagons and buggies plodded past livestock and alfalfa fields. Trains chugged past on the Transcontinental Railroad and 2 other lines running north and south. On Thanksgiving Day of 1904, the state's first electric streetcars began operation along Country Road, connecting Reno by rail to the new town of Sparks. The 3-mile ride cost a nickel and took 30 minutes. As automobiles became affordable, the road was widened and paved. Traffic increased as it became the route of the cross-country Lincoln and Victory highways and later U.S. Highway 40. Here's the Blue Ribbon Meat Company that we saw on the sign back there. Scooper's Drive-In, one of the originals. So we're coming up to Deer Park, so I think I'm going to park the car and we'll do a quick little history tour. So we're at Deer Park right now, looking at the Deer Park Pool building. Walk around that a little bit and over to the flagpole at the corner of the fence. There is a historical marker, but there's a couple of the outcropped buildings that you can reserve for picnics or gatherings and that type of thing. And we're coming up to one of the state of Nevada historical markers. It talks about Deer Park and the surrounding area and the pool. I've got a picture of it, so we'll scan that at the end of the video here. And I'll freeze the frame, or you can freeze the frame and read it yourself, but it's pretty interesting history. And then there's another quick little scan of the park and the outcropped buildings right in the center of Prater Way and Rock Boulevard in downtown Sparks. So we'll move on from there. So we're at... it is a good-sized park in the center of Sparks right now. So it's nice that they made it into a park, because otherwise it would probably be nothing but houses. So there's the other side of Deer Park at the corner of Prater and Rock. So this is the historic marker. Sparks, originally known as East Reno, Newtown Track, and Harriman, came into official existence. In 1905, the state legislature incorporated the town, named it in honor of John Sparks, rancher and governor of the state of Nevada. Sparks boasted one of the largest roundhouses in the world during the steam era, the Nevada base for a vast stable of steam locomotives. The famous cab-in-front locomotive type known as mallets were the huge steamers hauling both freight and passengers over the steep grades of the Sierra Nevada between Roseville, California, and Sparks.